Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Talking Tradesman. In the studio with me today, I have Chris Guyden, aka Chris Wolf. You'll find out about this in a bit. CEO and founder of Graft AR. Chris, thank you very much for coming in, mate. Do you want to introduce yourself, say a little bit, and then we'll what I want to do, because it's very interesting, the business that you've set up. So I'll talk about all that. But we'll sort of go back a little bit, find out a little bit about you, and then why you've set up what you've set up and what it is.
Okay, mate. Yeah. Cool. Like you say, I'm Chris Guyden, or aka Chris Wolf. Like I was saying, that nickname sort of came about when I was competing as a strongman. And I don't know, it was like a nickname.
Yeah.
I was sort of part of a club.
I was literally, when I was going to introduce you, I was going to say, that is a fucking wicked name.
I know, yeah.
Like, Wolf.
It's way better than mine,
name,
mate.
Isn't it?
It's way better than mine.
I can see why you'd pick it.
Yeah, I think it originally came about because I used to do a bit of leather work. Like when I had my accident, because I've got a prosthetic leg on. When I came back, because that was in Thailand, and when I came back, obviously I couldn't do much, and I was sort of bedbound, and it was driving me a little bit insane, having always been quite a busy bloke. So I needed something to get into. So randomly, I took up leather work and really got into leather work.
Leather work?
Yeah, like I made, for instance, this belt I've got on, I made that.
Oh, okay.
And then I got into making like saps and which are weapons, essentially.
Yeah. Out of leather?
Yeah. And I'd sort of carve it and dye it all myself, stitch it.
Okay.
And I set up a little shop called Wolf Customs. And I ended up selling pieces all over the world, and then people just started calling me Wolf, and then it just sort of came from there.
Mate, the best nicknames are hard to explain. That's the way I think about it.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Some of my friends' circle and some of their nicknames, I look back now and I think I still don't know why they're called that. It's just been so long that's who they are now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But let's go back to, I guess, the start of your story, as it were. So tell us a little bit about, where you grew up, how you grew up, and we'll move from there, really. Obviously, there's some interesting talking points, the accident and the leg being one, the strongman being another, the business being another. But let's set the scene.
Yeah, well, I grew up literally a couple of miles from here, from where the studio is. I grew up in Kidderminster, which is the next town over. And where we are now was my sort of stomping ground. I went to the local old school here, not for very long. I was a bit of a tearaway when I was a kid, bit of a nightmare, really, to be honest. I think at one point I remember we had like a teacher parent thing. I had to go in, and my attendance was less than 30%. Because I just
So when you say you went to the high school, you were a member of...
visited now and then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, I got kicked out of school, and the natural thing for me, that was about 2000, I think, something like that, and ended up straight on a building site. You know what I mean?
What was, just out of interest, because to be honest with you, obviously a lot of my guests are people out of the trades, similar stories. What was it about school that you couldn't settle into?
If I'm honest, mate, I don't know. I think I've got like a bit of an overactive brain, and there's always a lot going on, and I felt understimulated at school. I just felt almost held back, and I don't think it's a natural environment for a young boy, to be sat in a classroom for 8 hours a day, and I resented it. I got to the point where I was like, you're making me sit here in this room and copy what you're writing on the board, which I find boring. And I just became resentful and just absolutely hated school. I hated it. I did not want to go, to the point where I remember, when they said my attendance was less than 30%, and like then my dad was sort of brought in, because I didn't grow up with my dad. He moved out when I was quite young.
Okay.
And he come up and sort of give me a good idea. Got stuck in, like, you're going to fucking school. And I remember him going, right, I'm going to take you, you little prick. And he'd pick me up, take me to the front of the school. I'd jump out the car, walk through the school straight out the
Straight out
back,
the
and
top.
yeah, be off, mate. Yeah, like, off.
So in terms of growing up then, I mean, if your old man wasn't about, were you just raised by your mum?
Yeah, just my mom. She's a diamond, but she's illiterate. She can't read or write. She was an immigrant from Dublin, from Ballyfermot in
Oh,
Dublin. She
really?
came over in the 60s.
Well,
She was like one of a real big family of about 14, I think,
so
brothers and
you half
sisters.
Irish?
Yeah. So yeah, it was just me and my mom, and obviously not being able to read.
Let's pause there quickly to thank our headline sponsors, Zinza. And in particular, take a moment to talk about their incredible product, Zinza Bin Aqua. Zinza Bin Aqua is a water-based primer, sealer, stain killer and odour blocker all in one. It has trace VOCs. You can use this product inside and outside, and it will block knots, sap streaks, water, mould stains and more. We've used Zinza Bin Aqua in our business on many occasions and it has never let us down. With that in mind, let's get back to the episode.
Right, she was like, she did cleaning and stuff, but we were very, very poor growing up, very poor. Like, and I mean, we grew up on a council estate that was quite a poor place anyway, but we were like the level below, really.
Really?
You know, a lot of the time when I was a kid, we'd run out of electric and stuff like that. And we'd have an emergency button under the stairs.
Yeah.
And I'd go and press it and there'd be no emergency. And then we'd have to sit there at candlelight, you know what I mean?
Fucking hell, man. How many of you were in the house?
Just me and my mum, really. I mean, my older brother, I've got an older brother and an older sister. My sister's quite a bit older than me. So she'd already moved out, really, when I was a kid. And then my older brother, he was 10 years older than me. But he got into like heroin when he was 15. So he was in and out of jail. And he was a career criminal, burglaring, all this stuff. So I only really saw him in the visiting room at like Brinsford, Brockhill, all these places, when he was in jail. So yeah, it was mostly just me and my mum. And then when my brother used to come out, he'd end up robbing the house and like
Really?
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Fucking horrible disease, mate.
Oh, it's disgusting. Yeah, it ruined his entire life. I mean, he died 6 months before I had my amputation.
I'm sorry to hear that, Chris.
No, it is what it is, mate. Thanks, but it's just a horrible waste of life. Because my brother, and a lot of people, especially around here, will have opinions about my brother, and I understand that. You know what I mean? He was a fucking nightmare. But he had a good heart. He did have a good heart, and he had a lot of potential that was completely wasted by that.
It's a disease.
Poison.
Yeah, it gets hold of you, mate. It's I've spoken to a few people, former addictions, and in fact, a couple of guests ago, had a lad on, Tommy, ground worker, and it wasn't a drug addiction, but gambling addict.
Yeah.
Same thing though, but it drove him to like stealing from family, all that kind of stuff, and it's a disease. It's it's that once it gets hold of you like that, it transforms you.
Yeah.
So
and anything that can make a person turn on their own family is it's the embodiment of evil. It's like evil gets into a person. It's terrible, and it could be drugs, like you say. It could be gambling. It could be anything. Anything that makes you betray who you are as a person deep down. Because we're all kind. I think most people are kind people. Obviously, there's some psychopaths about it, but I think most people are good at heart, and they want to do good, and they want a better community around them. But yeah, these things get
I'd agree with that, mate. I mean, look, at the risk of sounding too soppy, at the end of the day, most of us just want to be loved, don't we? We want a safe home. We want to be loved. And that's it. Unfortunately, when you haven't got that given to you and you haven't got the guidance of what way to go and be, you tend to find your own paths.
Exactly.
And like, by the sounds of it, I can resonate with a lot of what you're saying in terms of like your childhood and not going to school and that. You would have naturally gravitated to people in doing the same sort of thing as you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your friends would be the other lads that were maybe not at school.
Of course, yeah.
You know?
And it was that. And I think, for me growing up, I didn't have role models. I had examples of what not to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't realise that at the time. It takes you years to look back and go, I'm not supposed to be like these people. Do you know what I mean? And I had to sort of find my own role models, and I found that a lot in books and stuff like that. I got into reading quite a lot.
Okay.
I remember when I first read one of Ranulph Fiennes' books, the Explorer, Ranulph Fiennes.
Yeah,
He was like a polar explorer. He's a big hero of mine.
Fair play.
And I met him not long after I had the leg chopped.
No way.
I actually got him to sign my first leg. Which is funny, man.
That's one thing to sign.
Yeah, because I got him to sign a book. And then I went, one more thing, and he was like, what's that? Whipped the leg off, and he didn't miss a beat, mate. Just, cheers, man.
Brilliant, man.
But yeah, people like that inspired me. And, explorers, Shackleton, people like this, the people that, took chances and got out there, and, it gets me going. I like that sort of stuff, because there was just nothing like that around me. Not even people who had like started businesses or anything like that. I didn't grow up around any of it. I grew up around people that were angry because they'd ruined their own lives.
Yeah.
Or circumstances.
It's hard, mate. I've seen it myself. Where I went to school over in Redditch town, not too far from your town.
Yeah.
I went to school down like on a council estate in Redditch. And there were mate, this whole generations of families that never leave the estate.
Yeah.
And they're indoctrinated in, you only know what you know.
Yeah.
And like you said, without that role model, those examples of, well, hold on, look at what that guy's doing. Because let's be honest, a lot of the time, if you're on a council estate, the people that are doing well, driving the nice car, got the girls and the nice clothes, are the dealers.
They're doing bits.
So what do you do as a kid when you haven't got anyone giving you that moral guidance? You look around, and in your own sort of juvenile mind, you go,
I want to be like him.
They're cool. They're doing well. They're doing better than what I am and what this is. And it sets those kind of, you idolise the wrong thing, don't you?
Yeah.
But by the sounds of it, mate, I mean, the books, fair play, that's not the normal thing either.
Yeah, I was quite a sort of introverted little kid, really. Do you know what I mean? And I liked just sort of disappearing into little books and different worlds and stuff, and did that. But then, as I hit my teenage years, it was like, right, started acting a bit of a dickhead and getting involved in drugs and all sorts of stuff, and started going up to like raves and all this sort of stuff, and really getting into the drug scene myself.
Okay.
It became a bit of a problem.
Party drugs,
and then it did get a little bit harder, and that was when I sort of panicked and thought, what am I doing here? And had a bit of a realisation and thought, I know where that path goes. Do you know what I mean? I've seen it my whole life, and I don't want to go down that path. And then I decided I wanted to be a Royal Marine. I really wanted to join the Marines.
Okay.
And I went up to Wolverhampton to Naval Command thing and signed all the papers and went through it all, and then did the initial testing and passed, and I was ready to go, mate. I was all packed up, ready to go to Lympstone. And then you have to sort of like give a medical release sort of thing, you know what I mean, to the capita doctors. And I went up and I thought they were just going to go, you're off to Lympstone. And he went, no, you're never going to get it. Sorry, mate, hold on. Getting a bit dry.
No, you sound what you sound.
Yeah, and he went, you're never going to be a Marine because you've lied to us. And I was like, what? Lied about anything?
Yeah.
And it turns out that, when I'd had a fucking mad little bender, and then I ended up smoking some heroin on a come down from a load of coke because I was in a bit of a mess, and panicked about it. And I mentioned it to my doctor the next day and completely forgot about it because this was years before. And
they pulled you up on that?
It was on the record. Because on the application for the Marines, it asked you clearly, have you ever done any hard drugs?
Right.
I clicked no.
Yeah.
And it came up, yes. So they were like, because you've lied. And my world fell apart around my ears, mate. I remember walking out into Birmingham from the office of the capita doctor after that. Because it was the only time in my life that I knew exactly what I wanted to be. There was no doubt in my mind. Once I decided on that, it all clicked. I was like, this is what I was always supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then that was just taken away.
Out of interest, if you would have pressed yes, would that have been okay? Or
I think so, yeah. I think, but I'll never know because they didn't really explain to me. But I think, yeah, and it was genuinely, it wasn't like I was trying to hide it from them. I'd completely forgotten the conversation because not long after I was working at like a factory, and a lad I was working with, he's like big into the gym and stuff, and I'd gone into a shift and I'd been on a bender, and he was like, "Mate, you look a fucking mess. Look at the state here." And it got me, mate. And I just thought, yeah, what am I doing? And he went, "Why don't you come to the gym with me?" And I did. And I think I jumped from one addiction to the other, but it was a better one, you know what I mean? So I was in the gym all the time then. And then I sort of came to, well, I could be a Marine, I think.
Yeah, I got you.
So I'd gone to the doctor panicking, and then I sort of fixed the problem myself anyway by just getting stuck into the gym and finding something positive to put my time and effort into.
It's a shame, man. I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, you never know where that path would have took you. I guess you never will know.
No.
But I tend to lean towards things happening for a reason. I'm not a massive believer in like having a preset destiny.
Yeah.
But, it could be that didn't happen because down the line you're going to do this. And, that could be the thing. Maybe this won't be the thing. Maybe it'd be the next thing. But something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There'll be something, some reason why that didn't work out.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, normally it's when you do get in the military, you end up with a fucking peg leg. I went and got one anyway.
Yeah, fucking hell, mate. It's listen, you'll see me laughing. Chris has said he takes a piss out of himself, so we're okay. Like people going, fucking hell, he's laughing at him. But it's been okay. So when that didn't work out, then the Marines into construction, into the building trades.
The first thing I did I remember when I come away, like I say, I was just stunned. It was like a little scene out of a film. It was all snowing. I would come out all feeling sorry for myself, and automatically, the first thought in my mind was to go and get on the fucking sesh. And somehow, I don't know why, I stopped myself from doing it and got into running. It's weird, but and I ended up doing a marathon for Help for Heroes. I thought, right, if I can't get into the military and do my bit, I'm going to do my bit another way. So I set up a towpath marathon where I ran from Wolverhampton to Kiddie along the canal towpath to raise money for Help for Heroes, which was pretty cool. And then that became a bit of a drug then, I think, as well, because then I got into ultra marathon running.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sat next to Goggins, really.
Carrying the boats. And
mate, I love that. I'll take it you've read his books.
I've not read his books, but I've been consuming the content online.
Mate, it's a good book. His first book, I say read, I listen to a lot of books while I'm at work. I'll listen to his first audio book, and that Who's Going to Carry the Boats moment, mate. Even now, thinking about it, you get the tingles because the story behind it and the condition he was in at that point.
I know the story. It's badass, mate. But and I sort of went down that path a little bit and ended up doing like a 50 miler, and I finished top 10 in my first one. It's miraculous. I don't know how I've done that. Mate. And I ended up signing up for the longest race in Britain, which is the Montane Spine Race, which is...
What's that consist of?
268 miles, self-supported winter race along the Pennine Way.
Fucking hell. 268 miles. That can't be non-stop.
It's
non-stop. How long's that take?
Normally about a week. But unfortunately, I got injured on the second day, and the medics pulled me out because I dislocated my knee. Christ, and still carried on another 6K, dragging myself through the snow. Because I just, I'd trained for a year to be in the right shape to do it. And that was an experience, man. That was cool. But that's always been the way with me, that I sort of go to extremes, mate. I'm never like, I'll have a go at that.
Do you know what? I see it a lot though. And you get people that will apply themselves 100% of the ethics behind doing this same thing. I'm going to do a podcast 100%. I'm not just going to sit and do it in my bedroom. I'm going to go all in. And that I've been the same in business and life generally. If I make a decision to do something, it's like, well, if you're going to decide to do something, why do it half-heartedly?
Yeah.
You've got to all in or all out. Personally, I'll procrastinate a lot.
Yeah.
I might sit on that edge, but the minute I actually decide,
it's on.
Okay, we're on.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair play, mate.
Yeah, and you've got to have that. And I think it's like, that old cliche, you only live once. Which I heard a different perspective on it. You only die once. You live every day, which I quite like. That's quite cool.
I like that, yeah.
You only die once,
Yeah.
We're alive now. Get on with it, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then sort of after the ultra running and all that, that was when I ended up going off to Thailand. Because at the time when I was doing the ultra running, I was working as a tree surgeon, doing those bits, and I actually had 3 jobs going at the time. I was working all the time, and when I wasn't working, I was running. And I worked from a farm nearby, and I'd run 6 miles every morning to the farm. And then in the shed, I'd have all my work gear, my toe cap boots and that, train out my running gear into my toe caps, work 14 hours on the trees, come back, change back into my running stuff, run home. And that was every day. And then on a weekend, sometimes like on a Saturday, I'd go up to the Brecon Beacons and run up there and stay overnight in a bivvy bag.
Yeah.
And we used to run to Worcester because that's like a half marathon, about 13 miles. So I'd do that all the time. I was so driven, mate. I was a different animal.
Let's pause there a moment to thank this episode's sponsors, Q1. Q1 are a premium masking solution. They offer the ultimate choice for professionals that demand perfection. Whatever you're painting, Q1 tapes deliver clean, sharp lines every time. Q1 tapes are designed for superior adhesion and easy removal, leaving no residue behind. We use Q1 tapes in our business all the time, on every job. In addition to the painter's tapes, Q1 offer a range of surface protection technology, solutions and accessories. You can cover things like worktops, hard floor and kitchen units with a range of Q1 protections. Using Q1, your projects are going to look professional and the results will speak for themselves. Q1 is available at all of your favourite stores and online at q1tapes.com. Thank you to Q1 for supporting the Talking Tradesman podcast and helping us raise mental health awareness in the industry. Let's get back to the episode. What do you think gave you, because I think you're saying about how hard you were working, do you think the whole, growing up without a lot, did that give you that drive in terms of got to get it?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know what it is in me. I suppose once I set goals, once I set a goal, even if it's ridiculous from the position I'm in, it's like, oh, I want to be up there, but there's no way up there. I'm sort of quite stubborn. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, watch this. And I'll do whatever needs to be done to get there. And I suppose that was just that. It was just... And like someone said to me before, when I go to the gym, I'm really intense in the way I train. Really, really intense. And for me, it's not like fitness or social thing. It's like I'm exercising demons.
Okay.
Like all the shit stuff I went through, and it sounds all angsty and
no, I don't at all, mate. Yeah,
that's what it is for me, and I find
it's a helps. Positive outlet for it. See, the thing is, with let's call it what it is. With our traumas, right, that we experience in life, they don't leave you. You just learn how to cope with them. And there's positive coping ways and negative. And obviously the negative are the ones that, that they're the people that have gone through trauma and they turn to drink, they turn to drugs. It's that escapism. But there's positive ways to escape. Like you can apply yourself to something in terms of the gym, training, business, charity, whatever it might be, that there's ways to apply yourself to deal with the shit that you got going on inside here. Which fortunately it sounds like you did.
At the same time, it's not like, just some Rocky montage, fucking everything was good into the sunset thing, I still struggle and I still end up drinking too much sometimes, you know what I mean, and doing silly things that I regret. I think people, when you look online and you look at films and you look at podcasts or you read these incredible books like the Goggins book and stuff like that, people think, oh yeah, you go through this terrible period and then you have your little Rocky montage and you come out the other side and you're fixed.
Yeah, you start at the bottom, you end up at the top, and it's a graph where you're just going smoothly.
Like it's linear, just It's not, is it? It's not, mate. You know, and I think that can cause a lot of people a lot of heartache because that's the image in their head, but it's not real.
Yeah,
like all of us, anyone, even Goggins is going to have days
ups and downs, man.
He ain't just Superman. It's bullshit. That's Disney. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's nonsense. Like, and I think
it's a good point.
I realise that, and I stopped beating myself up so much. It's like sometimes it's okay just to
slip.
Not always be let's take on the world. Do you know what I mean? And I think age taught me that. Like, you know what I mean? When I was younger, it was like, oh, I fucked up. I was supposed to do this. I didn't. I went and got on the sesh. I'm obviously a fuck up. That's who I am. Do you know what I mean? You think, oh, that's my identity. It's not. You're just a human. Do you know what I mean?
It's a really good point, mate. Really good point. Because there'll be a lot of people that will resonate with that. It's like a lot of people do it, don't they? Whether it comes to diets or drinking or whatever. It's that, I've fell off the wagon. Well, you can get back on it after. You know what I mean? But people don't think that way. They tend to think, well, I'm sober now. I've had a drink, so I've fucked it. So that's it. I'm drinking now. Which, you know, it's what you just said. Best way of saying it, mate. We're all human. We're all battling our own demons, and we've all got. And listen, life ain't fucking easy.
Nah.
Like, it's them days where you get that phone call, the unexpected phone call. You think everything's sweet, and then the train just derails completely. And them are the times that are sent to test you, and it's okay to slip. As simple as that. You get that bad day, you get that shit phone call, and you slip for a little bit, and then you decide to pull yourself out of it. That's the key thing. It's recognising when it's time to go, okay, I'm moving now.
Yeah, time to dust off.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be down. It's okay. Nobody's happy all the time. Nobody's positive all the time. I don't think it's possible. I think it's a myth.
Yeah, of course.
There's not a person, wealth, family, none of that comes into it. I mean, I've seen it firsthand with people. Some of my customers, to be fair, I'm lucky enough, I work in quite a wealthy demographic.
Yeah.
And you see some people, multimillionaires, and other things go on in their life, and it destroys them. So I don't think it matters who you are, what standing. Life will find a way to fuck you up at some point.
Yeah, no one's untouchable. No one's untouchable.
But yeah, it's a really good point, that, Chris. So I appreciate you raising it.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
So what led you to Thailand?
That was literally just, so I was in that sort of world where I was just working all the time. I had no time for anything else. And then an old mate of mine that I've sort of grown up with just literally went, dude, I'm thinking to go to Thailand, because we had a mate who was living out there teaching. He's like, I'm off to visit Aaron. Do you want to come? I think it was like next week. I was like, yeah, fuck it. I just made the decision there. I'm just like, yeah. But it was meant to be, we were going to go for like a month and just have a bit of an holiday. And like a year later, I had a 2-bed house there, living there.
Yeah.
When I bought myself a Kawasaki Ninja.
Okay, yeah.
And but I loved it. I absolutely loved the country.
What were you doing for money out there?
I was teaching. I dropped into the English teaching.
Teaching English?
Because years before, I'd gone to live in Vietnam. And I sort of went out there on a one-way ticket with no money, on a crazy one, because someone said, "Oh, I could probably get you work teaching." I got out there, so I flew to Hanoi, first ever time abroad on my own, one-way ticket.
First ever time abroad, one-way ticket to Vietnam.
Yeah,
fucking hell. All right, okay.
Yeah, like I said, I've always done things to extreme.
A little bit different to the copies.
Yeah. Mate, what a culture shock it was. Landed in Noi Boi Airport in Hanoi, and I was the only white person there in the whole airport, because this was back in 2007, 2008. I was there. And it was just, that was insane. But then I tried teaching, and I was fucking terrible at it. And so I ended up selling ecstasy in a club
Right.
that was in a boat on the Red River in Hanoi, which was pretty mad. And then the guy I used to score the pills off that I was selling, the police picked him up one night. So where I used to go to pick up from him, the guy who owned the bar was a friend of mine and was like, I said, where is he? And he just shook his head. I'm like, what's that mean? And he said the police had come and got him. And out there, mate.
I was going to say, mate, that sounds... Yeah, you don't want to be ending up in a prison over there, do you?
Yeah, so I shit myself and panicked and thought, right, I've got to get out. So I ended up, doing one back to England, managed to raise the money and got out of there. Because I just, But that was a mad experience. But I fell in love with Asia when I was there because it's beautiful. Everything about the place, I absolutely adore it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
it's interesting, mate. I've got two lads I know over the last 2 months have both moved to Thailand.
Yeah.
There's another painter and decorator, John Bugden. Shout out to you. He's just moved over there permanently. And there's another lad, former guest of the podcast, actually, Dan Rolfe.
Yeah.
He's just gone over there. I say permanently, but I don't think he's got any plans to come back, but he ain't sure if he's staying at the same time, you know. But it's funny that you should say that. It seems to be somewhere with a certain pull to it.
Oh, it's just, it's a different way of life. It's a lot freer. You know what I mean? It's just more relaxed. Everything seems. But yeah, so then when I came back from Vietnam, I thought, right, I've got to get back to Asia somehow. And I thought, I'm not dealing fucking drugs yet.
Yeah.
So I did a qualification in teaching online.
Okay.
So I had that. And then I just never used it. And then, when my mate said, I'll go to Thailand. And then we got out there and my other mate's working there. And I thought, I'll give it a try.
So are you teaching English too, like the Thai
kids?
people?
Kids, yeah. I had like a primary school and a high school. And I'd have like classes of 50 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was mad. But I loved it. I really enjoyed it because I cared about the kids. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I think a lot of people that go out there and teach in Thailand, it's all like gap year students. And they don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? Whereas I thought, right, this is my chance to live somewhere I love. And I thought, right, and also these kids, it's their future, their life. You know what I mean? You've got a big responsibility in your hands. So I really gave it my all and really sort of committed myself to it. And then kids aren't stupid; they see that. So it just got me in, and I just loved it. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed it. And then, and I took a bit of money out with me, and I thought, right, it's easy to spend a lot of money in Thailand.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break there to thank this episode's sponsors, Brewers Decorators Centres. Brewers have got over 200 stores nationwide. They're the premier destination for decorators, and they stock all of the best brands in the industry. Brewers give the best advice in store, and on top of that, you can get 10% off your first and second purchase, plus trade rates and free delivery when you sign up for a Brewers Pro Trade Card. A massive thanks again to Brewers for supporting the Talking Tradesman podcast and helping us raise mental health awareness throughout construction and beyond. Let's get back to the episode.
So I thought, I'll buy something that if I need to get back, I can sell it and get back. So I bought the Ninja, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Went down to Bangkok and went to a bike shop and bought a Kawasaki Ninja and loved it. Absolutely fell in love with that bike.
Yeah.
But then, one night I was heading home and someone pulled out at me in like a truck, and I was going too fast. I was doing 100 mile an hour, no helmet, t-shirt, shorts, you know what I mean?
Fucking hell, mate.
Yeah,
100 mile an hour, no helmet.
Yeah, stupid, I know, mate.
Mate, I was just thinking miracle rather than stupid. Like, fucking, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, losing legs bad, but you're lucky it was just that.
Yeah. But and come spinning off and blah blah and all that. And
so did you hit the truck?
No, I managed to. Mate, I still have nightmares about it all the time. It's nuts, like you were saying about with trauma stays with you.
Yeah.
You'd think at some point you'd get past it, but I still to this day I relive that moment. I still remember the guy's face.
Really?
Because I remember him pulling out and he was looking straight at me, and I remember just thinking, "You twat!" And I had to like lean the bike over and I skimmed the front of his truck remember looking up thinking, I'm coming back in a minute to batter you.
Mm.
And then, I looked up and there was another truck in another lane. And I'm like, oh shit. So I had to grab the brakes. There was nowhere I could go. And the bike started to buck. And I must have put my foot down, didn't even notice. Sent the bike that way. I went that way, sliding off, took all the skin off my hands. And I didn't even know. I went to stand up and my foot just collapsed. It was like I'd shattered the heel bone. And then, I had a bit of insurance that covered the initial hospital stay. But I had a girlfriend out there and her mum worked at the hospital and she was like, yeah, that's going to be expensive. The surgery he needs. Like,
what had you actually done then? Like shattered the bone?
Yeah, like they call it the calcaneal bone, the calcaneus, like the heel bone. It just blew up, mate, because I was going so quick. It just, there was bones all over the shop. And I thought, and I realised, shit, I've just lost my house, my job, the country I love, because I knew I'd have to come back here
for the treatment.
Yeah, I knew it.
How did that work then? Like, because I would imagine they'd have to make you stable to a degree to get back, or how does it work?
They put me in like a plaster of Paris. So I had little wooden crutches. And I had to just bullshit it when I got to the airport and was like, yeah, I've had the all clear from a doctor. It's all good. Got on the plane, mate. It was all swollen up. It was like purple coming back because of all the pressure and stuff.
Yeah, I imagine that'd be fucking awful.
Oh, it was nasty, but it had to be done. It was like, right, I've got to get back and get this fixed so I can get back to Thailand, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I came back, spoke to a doctor here eventually, and they were like, mate, you could lose your leg here. You know, this could be a good few years. I was like, again, big dramatic
infection
moment. No, it was just such a mess. And then, so eventually I got the surgery and they cut it open in a big L shape and put plates and bolts and all this sort of stuff in. And I was chuffed. I'm like, yeah, they've fixed it. I'm going to be all right. And then when I finally got the plaster off, at first it felt better, and then I realised that it's worse, and I was in a lot of pain with it. And I had to go and get these these injections, cortisone injections, like into it. But because of all the metal in it, they had to do it under an X-ray machine to put the needle in. So it'd take them half an hour to get the needle in. It was agony. I'd be like that on a corner of the bed because they'd have to push it in a bit, X-ray it. Right, we need to go that way. Do you know what I mean? Like find their way in.
You know, man, yeah.
Yeah, it was nasty. And then that stopped working. And then the surgeon said to me, all that we can do now is fuse the heel joint. So you'll walk with like a real bad limp for the rest of your life. Or we can chop it off. So, yeah, I think I took about 3 seconds and just went, lob him then. Let's get it in the bin. Let's crack on. Because I'd done my own research as well. And everyone I could find who had the same injuries, it was the same story that I kept finding.
Yeah.
That they'd go through years and years and years of surgeries that eventually didn't work and then lost their leg. And I didn't want to do that. I was getting too old.
Fucking hell, mate.
So I was like, right, let's just cut to the chase and get it off.
Fair play. I wasn't expecting that. I'll be honest with you. When you said you'd lost it in an accident, I assumed kind of at the point of the accident or soon after. I didn't realise it was like essentially not a choice, but you had to make that decision of, you know, I guess if I'm honest, Chris, I kind of expected that maybe you'd had an accident, kind of woke up and that took the leg off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's it's a bit different that to actually have to choose to say.
It was weird. And walking into the hospital.
Knowing.
Yeah. And sort of putting the gown on and then sitting there and talking to the surgeon. And then they put all the, the drugs in and he's like, are you sure?
Fucking hell.
And then going to sleep and then waking up and my leg's gone. That was a weird day.
Mate, I think you've just made the understatement of the week for sure. I mean, to ask I guess the nitty gritty, where did they take it off? Was it below the knee?
Yeah, below the knee. So it's sort of like just about there, like halfway down the shin bone sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like mate. I think that the advantage I had was because I'd made that decision. I'd got to come to terms with it, and also almost make an agreement with myself in my brain before. I was like, right, once we've made this decision, you can't ever go back on it, obviously. So you're never going to regret it. That's never going to come into your mind.
Just move on.
Yeah, and we're going to go and do some cool things, you know. And when they chopped it off, obviously there's a little bit of time before you can get your first prosthetic. But in that time, I'd signed up for a 10K run.
You know, mate. Yeah.
So I got the prosthetic, and I think I had about a matter of weeks to learn to walk, then learn to run, and then I was towing the line of this 10K.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, mate. My head has gone a terrible example because of what he did, but Pistorius Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Do you have to use do you have to have like a running prosthetic or?
I didn't know because they cost a fortune.
So you can run. Can you run? You can run.
Well,
on
not
that now. Or
yeah,
did you?
You could. I mean, it's not ideal. It's not like Pistorius. He's a sprinter, and I think those blade things. I think they're like a bit longer or something.
Because they give him the push, don't they?
But you can run on them. You know, occasionally I'll go for a jog.
Okay.
You know,
did you do the 10K?
Yeah, and I didn't finish last.
Fucking fair play, man.
I was one person finished behind me, and I thought, fucking hell, mate.
Imagine me and you.
Yeah, the geezer with one leg.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I finished, there was blood pissing out the stump and everything. It was that was one of the hardest, most painful things I have ever done.
What made you do it?
Just a bit of a prick. I don't know.
I mean, you say that. I don't think it can't be like. Oh, was it to prove to yourself you could, or?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, there's pictures of me when they chopped it off, because obviously you're still in the hospital. I was still in the hospital for like 9 days. I think they kept me in, and I was using the furniture in the hospital room to bench, and I had like resistance bands, and I had like a wheelchair, and I was flying up and down the ward, back and forward, because like I said, I'd made that decision with myself. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna be one of the badass ones that you see on videos and shit. I'm like, let's do it. Let's see if we can. So yeah, and there's like a video when I got back home, I had like a big heavy wheelchair, and I was doing pull-ups in the doorway with it like strapped to me. So yeah, I just decided to go into sort of like badass Goggins.
That's some mental strength, mate. That is. I mean, you say, oh, it's a bit of a prick, but I don't think there's many people that would have an amputation and then go, now I'm going to run on it. Like that's something else. Like, you know, I think again, we touched on it pre-record about character and where that character comes from and the building blocks of that. And I think that probably started at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? That resilience, we said before, man, like life's hard, shit happens. And I can't compare to that, but you have a couple of options in life, don't you? When shit happens to you that's outside of your control, like you had no control over that happening, you can either choose to become victim to it, or you can choose to move on from it. And by the sounds of it, like you were definitely in the second category there.
Yeah. I think, even when you say that, then I have like the word victim. It turns my stomach.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It really bothers me. Like I have a reaction to it. And I suppose maybe that's it. Maybe it's just that
refuse
was the
to be a
last
victim
thing
to
I
it,
want to be referred to as. Do you know what I mean? No matter what. Maybe that is, the upbringing and growing up on a rough estate. Like that's the worst thing to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, but yeah. And then I did the 10K. And went and worked a door in Wales that night as well. After like,
you've done door work as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for me mate's daughter's 18th, she had a party up there. We were sort of on the door. And I was thinking, bleeding out the stump and everything.
Fuck Goggins, mate. When you're writing a book, I'll say to Chris, fuck you now. So yeah, you could give Goggins a run. Never mind them boats. Has Goggins done fucking has he done a 10K after losing a leg? No. Jesus Christ, man. I mean, mate, you just like I didn't know any of this, so I'm processing this now, and I'm just like, fucking hell. Like that's extraordinary, mate.
Thanks, man. Yeah, but like I say, I don't try and sort of overanalyze much. I just
do.
crack on. Yeah, just do. Yeah. And then not long after that, got into back into the gym, and I suppose having those that new trauma, used it as a fuel again, and went in renewed, really went in hard, and I thought, right, I want to see how much I can deadlift and stuff like this, Oh,
it's me not putting one of my phones on silent. Amateur. And we're back. I was just saying pre-record, actually. I was like, I like to keep it authentic. If something goes wrong, then we just keep it in.
Leave that in, mate.
So there you go. I'll leave it in because it saves me editing it out. Amateur, forgot to put one of my phones on flight mode.
I thought it would be me.
No, mate, it's me getting complacent. That's what that is. But yeah, sorry.
Too much success, that is, mate.
I don't know about that, mate. It's just sloppiness. But where were we?
What was all?
Getting into the gym.
Back in the gym. And got really stuck in, mate, and thought, right, what can people do? What can someone with one leg actually do? You know what I mean? And because I was bringing like the deadlift numbers and stuff up, and then I thought, I wonder if I can compete, and started looking around. I looked at like amputee powerlifting. And it's just bench press. I thought, that's fucking boring. I don't want to do that. And looked around, and I came across Britain's Strongest Disabled Man.
Okay.
Sort of had a look. And do you remember like the World's Strongest Man?
Yeah.
He was on the telly, like at Christmas and that. And it was just like that. And the only one I sort of remembered from that when I was a kid watching it was Magnus v Magnussen.
Yeah.
Do you remember him? Yeah. He always used to win. Like
he won for ages, didn't he? There was him. I always remember him, and then it was the Polish geezer Pudzianowski, who's now gone to MMA and just fought. Did you see the Eddie Hall fight?
I haven't seen it, but I saw.
You see the results? 35 seconds. Yeah.
Well, how old is he now?
He's 48 now.
I thought he was older than that.
But I mean, going off piece a bit here, but. How is it?
Pudzianowski, something.
Yeah, I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah,
but he'd had something like 28 MMA fights versus Eddie Hall, who had none.
Yeah.
So it could have. I mean, look, if a geezer that big hits you, it's going.
Yeah.
Whoever it's who first, isn't it? Really,
he's a big
lad. Yeah.
But and when I reached out to Britain's Strongest Disabled Man, and the one, like, I spoke to the organizer, and he said, well, why don't you come down and compete? I was like, okay. And he was like, oh, by the way, the referee is Magnus v Magnussen.
Fucking hell.
No way. So I was like, yeah, all right, I'll give it a bash.
Yeah.
And started trying. I'd never even seen an Atlas stone, like the big Atlas stones. I'd never even seen one, so I had to find a gym that had them and started training for Strongman. And went down with my best mate. And come fourth there. So I've done well.
First go fourth.
Yeah.
Play, man.
And then not long after that, so I think the top three qualified for Worlds as well. So I was just outside. But then it turned out that I think the guy who won already had a seeded place. So I got a phone call, and they were like, look, do you want to compete at World's Strongest? And it's in Canada. I was like, no way. Yeah, let's do it.
Did you go?
Yeah, I flew out to Canada. I'd never been there before. And I come second.
Second in World's Strongest.
Yeah, mate, yeah.
Well done, man. That's fucking incredible.
And that was, I think, 11 months after the amputation. So less than a year.
Jesus Christ, mate.
Yeah, it was nuts. That was crazy. That was mad. It was really fun.
Mate, honestly, I'm astounded. So, and I'm not just saying that for effect. Like, that's fucking impressive. Like,
Yeah, I was impressed. Didn't
yeah.
expect that myself, you know what I
So you came. So how many people were in it?
mean? In my category, I think there was about 3. There was there was 3, but like you had to qualify. So like,
Yeah,
do you know
yeah,
what I mean? The ones that got there was 3, but yeah, so there was like multiple countries. But yeah, it was just mad, just a mad experience. And there was like commentators there, like cheesy American commentators. I was like,
yeah.
what is going on here, mate? Chavy off the coppice, and I'm like, Chris Wolf next. Like, what's going
Yeah.
on? But yeah, it was mad. And then yeah, really got into the strongman. And yeah, ended up competing a few times, and I did a few internationals and finished on the podium every time
Yeah.
that I did an international. And yeah, so that was a good little period, mate. That was.
So, like, obviously the marine thing went out the window, but you've still been around the world doing what you're doing.
Mm.
And that's one of those. I mean, I don't know where you stand on what you'd rather, as it were. There's no choice in the matter, like you said before. But it's, I've referred to it before, like the value in trauma. If what had happened to you hadn't have happened, you'd never have had those
Yeah,
experiences.
yeah.
So, I don't know whether you'd weigh one against the other, but it's, there's certainly a positive to take.
Of course it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And when I was doing that strongman thing, I broke multiple world records. I was the first
Really?
and only amputee to lift what's called the Dinny stones up in Scotland, which is like the really old lifting stone tradition. There was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Donald Dinny, and people come from all over the world to try and lift those stones,
Yeah.
and most fail. And I went up there and lifted them on one leg, and that was like my proudest moment, really. And that was where I
Fucking
sort of
amazing.
went, right, I've done enough, and I sort of retired from the sport.
Have you still got the world record?
Yeah, no amputees ever lifted those stones. Yeah, and like after I did that, we drove across to the Braemar Centre in Scotland, where they keep the Inver stone, which is an even older lifting stone. And I was the first and only amputee to lift that, and that's my daughter's middle name now. I named her after that stone.
No way, man.
Yeah. That was really cool, man. I loved it. And when we went up, we sort of we wild camped when we were there. We didn't stay in a hotel or anything. We like took tents.
Yeah.
And it was just awesome trip. Me and a couple of pals. Yeah, it was cool. I love Scotland.
That's fucking impressive. I've only ever been there once, mate. We climbed Ben Nevis for charity last year.
Yeah.
First time I've ever been to Scotland, and same thing, was blown away. I know there's like a road trip route that I really want to do.
The 500.
Yeah, that's it. Do you know what, mate? It's funny you should say that. I literally, as God's my witness, I'm not even religious, so I don't know why I say that. But as whoever it is witnessing, I had this conversation with my wife like 2 nights ago. I was looking at those tent box things, that go on top of on top of on top of my van. I was looking at them thinking, have you seen those, by the way?
Yeah. I think so. They sort of...
Yeah, do you know what, mate? They're fucking expensive. Like, I mean, I've got to be honest, camping's never been my thing, so I don't know what a tent is. But a tent box, they're like 1,800 quid.
Oh, hey.
1,800, $2,000,
Has
depending
it got like
on
a
what
leg
model
that comes off it or something? Is it?
There's a few different ones. There's one that's literally a box and it goes flat. You just pop it up. And then there's another one that folds out that's a bit bigger. Like me being not a small bloke, I'd like the option of a bit of room. You know what I mean? As I say, camping's never really been my thing, but depends which way you look at it, I guess. It's a very expensive tent or it's a very cheap camper van.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
But anyway, I like the idea of the Scotland road trip.
Yeah, mate, I'd love to do it. When I come back as well, when I was back in England, when I was waiting for my surgery, I bought like a chopper off someone that was like a project on eBay, and I got it running with the help of someone who knows more than me. We took it apart, rebuilt it, and then I used to go on trips, like strap all me tent and that to the back of the bike. Yeah, it was real cool, man.
How was it getting back on a bike?
Yeah, to be honest, I just sort of just cracked on as I usually do. I was just like, right.
It don't surprise me that you said that. I didn't expect you to say it was a problem. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the film thing is, you've got all that anxiety, but yeah, I was just like, crack on. I mean, a couple of years ago, I lost my best mate on a bike, and I haven't ridden since then. So I don't know whether
that's different, man. Again, mate, I'm sorry to hear that.
It is what it is, mate. But yeah, he was a good lad. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it has bothered me really. I would jump back on a bike, you know what I mean? I think just crack on in life. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you've got demons, but deal with it. And I know that sounds harsh, like, and probably not the right message for the podcast. Where
Mate, no, absolutely fucking not. Listen, everyone's different, Chris.
yeah,
And everyone's different, and people need to be treated differently. Like, some people respond well to that.
yeah,
Like, shit happens, get the fuck on with it.
yeah,
Get up, get on with it. You know what I mean? Some people need that.
yeah,
The Goggins, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And some people respond to that, and other people not so much.
yeah,
But you can't, your story is your story.
yeah.
How you've dealt with things is how you've dealt with things. And if it's worked, it's worked, and nobody can tell you that's wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not like, the podcast has been set up to talk about mental health, but not to give guidelines on it. I'm not a professional, mate. I'm not. I've studied psychology informally. I've studied it semi-formally as well, but I never set this up to try and give advice on mental health. What I set this up to do was talk about it.
Yeah.
And there'll be people out there that will resonate completely with how you deal with things. There'll be people out there that will deal with things very, very differently.
Yeah.
But, I've always been about reaching the one rather than reaching the many.
Yeah.
So if somebody listens and goes, do you know what, actually, like, I'll be honest with you, mate, listening to your story, I've found it inspiring. Sat here today, I'm like, fucking hell, like, fair play, man. It's inspirational to hear what you went through, how you handled it, and what you did afterwards. Like, it's powerful. And there'll be other people listening to this now that will feel the same. So just for that, mate, it's worth it.
Yeah.
But there's nobody, the way that you deal with things stands true to your character.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. And that just because I deal with it that way doesn't mean everyone needs to, like you're saying it. Everyone's got their own method through it. Like, yeah.
But some people, I would imagine the softly approach just wouldn't work for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the thing that would get you back to. And at the end of the day, listen, we can overcomplicate life. It's about being happy. That's it. The way I see it, however you live your life, if you find that purpose and you're happy in what you're doing, and then nothing else matters.
Yeah.
So however you get there, it's like there's a million routes to that one destination.
Yeah.
And we're all going to take different routes.
Yeah, and also as well, that was one thing I was talking about the other day, and like, just on the surface, people look at my story and will go, oh, well, he's badass, he's done this, he just shoulders through, but also, things do get through to me too. Like I said to you before, I've got thick skin, mate. Nothing really offends me. I don't give a shit. But there have been moments where, like, for instance, I was talking about it the other day to someone. When I first had the amputation, and I'm sort of going back on the tools and doing bits, because I do window fitting and window doors, stuff like that. And I think in this area, there was another lad who was a window fitter, and he lost a leg. I didn't know him at all. And I think he took his own life. And it was mad. Because, like I say, I've got a thick skin. Nothing really ever gets through to me. But I must have gone to about 5 or 6 jobs where someone had gone, oh, did you know that other window fitter? He had one leg as well. And then they'd go, and I was like, no, I didn't know. I've heard about him, but I didn't know. And they go, oh, I think he killed himself. And it sort of started to get to me a little bit. It was almost like, in my head, what I heard was, you're not going to get through this because he didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, what makes you think you're better than the bloke who he couldn't? I mean, I don't know the bloke. I don't know his story. Do you know what I mean? And it's not for me to talk about really. But all I can say is the way it sort of
they likened you to him because you'd got the same.
And it was almost like a voice in my head was going, "Yeah, that's your story, mate. That's what you got coming." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was weird. It was like a weird sort of.
But mate, listen, this is the whole thing, isn't it? This is when we talk about mental health or the mind, it does weird fucking things. It's that voice in the head that you got to get a grip on sometimes, and not listen to what your own mind is telling you. And it's funny where it can take you off a little trigger like that.
And like I say, it's not like me. It's not like me. Normally, like, if someone tries to offend me, I'm like, whatever, mate. You know, jog on. And I'll laugh it off. But yeah, I don't know. It just sort of started to seep in a little bit. It was getting in through the cracks. You know what I mean? And that's the only real time. But like, yeah, I'm sort of. It is what it is. You know, I feel sorry for the bloke. It's a terrible shame. You know what I mean? Anyone who gets to that point,
it's terrible, mate.
but like, yeah, I didn't know him. But yeah, and it's like almost like the way that the customers think that's all right to just bring that up to you.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, I'm not,
it is insensitive.
yeah.
Like you say that you're bound to know him because you both lost a leg.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Well, it was more the like, oh, I think he killed himself, and it was like, kept hearing, oh, I think he killed himself, and it was like almost like, is that what you're meant to do? Do you know? I know it's silly.
No, I get
but
what you're
like,
saying. Yeah.
It was like almost like my subconscious is trying to talk me into doing it. You know what I mean? It was weird. It was strange. But yeah, like I say, yeah, whoever he was, mate, you know, condolences to the family because that's terrible.
Absolutely, man. Rest in peace. It's again, the reason we started the podcast, mate, is it's not, you don't have to look far to find somebody that knows somebody that's lost somebody to suicide, or, you know, the statistics are terrible. I've mentioned it so many times, but it's the worst industry in the UK for male suicide. There's more people take their own life that are from a construction background than any other industry in the UK currently, and it's on average, it's 2 people a day. So that's 10 people every week, every working week. That's a lot of families, mate. That's a lot of families, a lot of friends, and that's a big fucking ripple, because it's not just the person, it's everything. Like I just said, it's the family, it's the friends, the acquaintances. It ripples.
Yeah, of course it does.
Every week, that's a lot of people that are affected by that.
Think of all them kids. You know what I mean? That's the tragic part, isn't it? You know,
absolutely, mate. Absolutely, the whole thing is tragic, and that's why, you know, setting up the podcast was for that purpose. Genuinely, it sounds, it's that romantic notion, but, you know, if I can help one person and just let one person know that maybe it's okay to reach out if they're struggling, anyone listening to this, it's okay to speak up, it's okay to seek help. There's some great organisations out there. I'll shout them out now. There's like Samaritans. You can get hold of them on 116 123. Somebody 24/7 hours a day there to take those phone calls. But just to do that, to speak up and go, look, I'm feeling this way, rather than take the action.
Of course it is,
you know?
Yeah.
And it's these kind of conversations where, you know, that's all we're doing here, is having the conversation, talking about mental health, talking about the highs, lows, the ups and downs. Do you know what? Like you just said, actually, it was a bit weird. That circumstance made me feel a bit wrong. I think it's important, and I think it will make a difference. Let people know.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's brilliant. And when I came across it, I was like, what a great idea. Do you know what I mean?
I appreciate that, mate.
And yeah, because it can be lonely sometimes, can it? Being a man, you know what I mean? And especially the trades is obviously very masculine, macho. It's a way of life that, you know, you're taking responsibility, and you're taking a lot of responsibility, and it can grind you down, you know, regardless of whether you've lost a fucking leg or whatever. You know what I mean? Just day to day life, it's not easy in the world today, is it? No. You know what I mean?
It's not, mate, and it's you touched on it there, the stereotype, the pressure to be a certain way.
Yeah.
If you're a geezer in construction, you've got to be a certain way, and the fear of being deemed weak by your peers if you speak up and say you're struggling. It's all part of what's playing into these horrible statistics.
Yeah.
But so again, mate, massive credit to you. There's huge value in your story. It's been inspirational. I want to talk about your business, mate. What you're doing now, fucking wild journey that you've gone from here to there. But let's talk about Graft AR, not AI, Graft AR. Let's talk about what that is first of all.
Well, yeah, I suppose the story with that was on the tools with me and the lad I work with, who's also Russ. Like I say, we're window fitters, and yeah, we've sort of been on a bit of a journey where we've been trying to sort of improve the way things have done. It's almost like a bit of an obsession because I hate it when I start moaning. It does me head in. I don't like hearing myself having a whinge. And I found myself whinging all the time about things. And I'm like, well, how can we fix it? Is there a fix to this? So that's really where it started. And the one day I think we were just sat in the van and we'd just been fitting some stuff. And I think it was Russ said, wouldn't it be cool? Because I think we'd heard all that week from customers going, like, say we'd fitted a composite doors, like, oh, I was going to get the green, but I didn't know what it'd look like or whatever. And Russ was like, imagine if you could do it in like an app. And boom, from there, it was just sort of, it blew up because I'd been sort of studying ways to make money online because I can't keep, like, I do suffer with this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like right now, I've got a huge cyst on the side. I get it real bad. And like this ankle is in pain all the time because it's doing all the work.
Compensation, yeah.
So I realise I've got a very limited amount of time that I can be on the tools. You know what I mean? I've got to find a way out. So I was looking at sort of like AI and all this sort of stuff and AR and researching all these different technologies. So then when sort of Russ said that, I was like, that's possible, I think, mate. I'm pretty sure that's possible. And then we sort of snowballed that idea of like, what if we could bring an app where people can pick out home improvement products and visualize them in their home and then maybe one-click order direct from the vendor and have it delivered to their house. And then from that came the idea of Graft, which is then, well, if they're picking a door or a window or something like that, most people don't know how to fit a door or a window, so they're going to need a tradesperson.
Yeah.
So then it was, right, let's link them together. And I know there's already lots of solutions to that, you know, and I'm not going to name any of them, like, you know.
The big ones everyone knows,
Yeah. But you hear a lot of bad stories about them.
100%. Yeah. There's a lot of, again, we won't name any companies, but I've heard a lot of issues regarding being tied into contracts is one major complaint that I see a lot of. I don't know at this point how you guys operate, but tied into contracts, never getting any leads, fake leads is another thing. Having to buy leads at quite a substantial price, and then it turns out that they're not legit. There's a lot of shenanigans, shall we say.
Which is exactly where we sort of when we said, right, we're going to build something where we do the same job that they do, essentially, but we're going to take all that bullshit and throw it in the bin. Because obviously we're coming from the ground, we're tradespeople, tools in our hands every day. I mean, my hands are ripped to bits from working. And I thought, right, you can do it without ripping off tradespeople and taking them for mugs and, you know, all those stories like you've just said there.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's do it fair, where the customer gets proper tradespeople, not cowboys running around trying to rip people off. Proper guys like yourself, you know, an honest tradesman who wants to just do his job.
Yeah.
And then not ripping off the tradespeople. So yeah, that's essentially what we're trying to set up is
so just so I understand, mate. So you're talking about an app where somebody can input what a picture would it be of their house as it is, or
it's a 3D render, so augmented reality, which we actually had a mad breakthrough last night where I think I've
would it
got
be
to the point.
Augmented reality of their own room, like?
Yeah, so
what would they do? Like, just explain how it'd work.
Yeah, so with the app, so the app's free to download for the customer, so they download it, and then there's a product catalogue of products. So whatever they want, say they wanted skirting boards or anything, you know what I mean? Windows, doors, whatever. You sort of pick what you want. You design it yourself within the app, and then you press the AR button, and it puts it in the room. It puts it drops it into the space, and then you can position it where you want it and see exactly what it looks like.
Would it be your own space, or would it be like a standardized room?
No, it'll be live through the camera on your phone.
Oh, okay.
So once you press that button, it launches the camera in sort of video mode and
into your own. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. But yeah, we've had what a journey trying to build that, because obviously we're, you know, like I say, we're tradies.
Yeah.
to then try and move into the tech world is just
It's a new
insane.
world, mate. Isn't it?
Yeah. Like, what a gulf in skill sets.
So if I've got this right, then they can use the app to visualize their room, pick a product, see how it will look. There'll be a link to the product itself.
Yeah, built embedded in the asset, in the 3D asset within the app. So
Okay.
in the image of whatever product it is. So at the minute we're working on uploading sort of garden furniture,
Mm-hmm.
so like rattan stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're talking to a few companies, so we're going to try and upload their entire range, and then if the customer can go through, go, I quite like that,
Visualize it.
and actually put it in the space.
Yeah.
So yourself, you could go to IKEA and buy something, and then you get home and it don't fit where you wanted to put it, and you're like, oh, I've got to.
So it'll get the dimensions.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, the technology is to a point now where it can do. It's incredible what we can do now.
So then there'll be a link to the item that they can follow straight to buy that thing.
Yeah,
and then you've also going to build a directory of tradespeople that they can get the services to either build, install, or do whatever.
Yeah. And also, I mean, we're still in development with the app. It's a long road with this stuff, and we're sort of. I'm sure a lot of local people see us releasing bits and go, "Oh, they're back again." But with tech, what you've got to understand, it's iterative.
Yep.
So I think there's a quote by what's his name, Reid Hoffman, who's the founder of LinkedIn, and he said, if you're not embarrassed by the first iteration of your product, then you launch too late. Yeah. So the idea within tech, from what I've read, and I've read a lot, is to release the product as soon as possible. Just get it out. Yeah. Get feedback, make it better, and come back and keep launching. People think, oh, there's just this big launch day, and we're going to be millionaires, and I'm Elon Musk now. But it's not. It's you just keep putting it out and putting it out.
Do you know what? It's weird you should say that. I was listening to a podcast just today. Trying to think who it was with now, because I listened to about 3. It might have been Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, actually. Anyway, they were talking about new businesses, launching businesses, and they were basically saying it's a good thing to launch a bad idea, because that's your start point. Then you work with that. You find the flaws as you work, you fix, you move. Yeah. I mean, you look at anything, mate. I mean, I don't know where you'd find it, but imagine if you looked at like Amazon version 1 versus what is probably now version fucking 900. Yeah. But that's part of your journey, isn't it? That's part of your growth. Yeah. So, you might have started on version 1 now, but you got to start at 1 to get to 10.
Yeah. So, and like, it's a real journey, because obviously me or Russ don't write code. So we've had to find coders and software engineers and work with them. And again, it's people. So but you find some, it's a nightmare sometimes. Yeah. It's like finding the right tradesman to do something. Yeah. If you've got no contacts in a space, say you move into a town and you don't know anyone, chances are those cowboys are going to get to you. Do you know what I mean? And that's why, like I say, we set up Go Graft, where it's for Worcestershire, it's for the local people, where if you don't know tradespeople in the area, if you haven't got a clue, you can come to us and we'll look after you. Do you know what I mean?
I'm just out of interest, mate, how do you vet the tradespeople?
Yeah, so everyone's got to have public liability, obviously, as a basic. And then we actually look at previous work, we look at previous reviews. I mean, most of the lads that we've got through the platform, we already know. We already know they're solid guys. But someone who comes who we don't know, then we do the research.
Is there like a review rating system, that kind of thing?
We're building that in, but like I say, we're still early days, and so it's adding a feature at a time. So it's still very basic. But we've got a long list of features that we want to put in.
I have to get myself on it, mate.
Yeah,
get myself on
you're
the
busy. You
list.
Don't need it.
Well, do you know what? It's one of the things, and I thought this earlier, but I forgot to say it at the time. One of the problems with some of these bigger platforms and tradespeople that turn to it, often they turn to it when they're in a time of need. They turn to it when they've had. I used it myself. Oh Christ! Years ago. a certain one that I used, and the reason I signed up to it and used it, and I must admit my own experience of it wasn't particularly negative. I did win a couple of jobs off it, but I believe it's changed. We're probably talking 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And that was like a rated system thing. But I turned to it because I'd had a big contract pull out, or in fact I'd pulled out of. So I left myself with like, ordinarily I'm always busy.
Space.
6 weeks. 6 weeks. I was like, shit.
Yeah.
I've got lads on, need to fill this.
Yeah.
And I just needed to pull in a short period of work. And it worked okay. But there's a lot of people that do find themselves in that position as a tradesperson where they're like, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
So they reach out to these companies. It's that like light at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes they just get took for a ride.
Yeah, big time. And we've seen it time and time again. People have bought leads, and it turns out to be like, you know, basically a change a light bulb type lead. And you're like, mate, the lead cost me more than the job's worth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been like a toxic swamp. I think that industry for a long time.
You're right. Yeah.
And we just thought, you know what? Let's see if we can clean it up a bit. Let's see if we can do something. And obviously we're starting out just in this area to begin with, and then we're going to try and spread our wings out. But yeah, and try and just bring some sort of code with it rather than just ripping people off. You know what I mean? And the idea as well with the AR. So if someone did say want, say a new window for the front of their house, they can pull up the AR and get a quote direct from the manufacturer, so they know the material costs, rather than phoning someone or going on Facebook, reading Marketplace, and having someone come around and go, oh yeah, that window's going to be $2,000 plus my work on top. You know, they can pull anything out their ass, and you know yourself, people do it. And I just think, that gives the control back to the customer, because they know the material costs. So all you're quoting is for your labour.
Yeah.
And I just think, it's a better way to do things. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's a lot of tradespeople who are going to go,
it's good, mate. I was just, my head was ticking over while you were saying that, and I thought it'd be cool as well, you know, if you had like, I don't know, let's go real basic here, but somebody wants to replace the skirting room. Could you do it so like you've got the product, you've got the skirting board, and then you've got everything else you need? So you might have like, I don't know, CT1 to stick it on, these nails, these screws, like recommended products.
We intend to build all of that in. So just so the customer doesn't think, well, the skirting board, there's actually a lot more to it.
I would imagine, and not to teach you to suck eggs, Chris, because I'm sure you probably thought about it, but in terms of like money generation, I would imagine some brands would potentially want to partner. Because you'd have like, I don't know, but again, pick an adhesive. The biggest one I know, CT1.
Yeah.
Maybe they'd want to be, primary. Recommended stuff.
There's potential all the way through. I mean, the space we're going into. I mean, the home improvements industry in the UK now is valued at over 30 billion. Like
billion.
And it's. The thing about this industry, it's a slow burner, so it's not some crazy. It's like the annual recurring is around about 5%, just over 5%. So it gradually builds every year, and it's always going to do that, because at the end of the day, people are always going to have houses.
Yep.
So it's a great space to go into, I feel. But we're just trying to do our bit and set something up that maybe, can change things a little bit.
To be fair, mate. I mean, just knowing what you've told me before about your ethics, I'm sure you're going to give it 1,000,000%. But it seems like there's a great idea there, and there's loads of room to grow from where you already are, which is in a good place. So, yeah, mate, it's I'll keep an eye on it, man.
Cheers, mate.
I'll keep an eye on it. It's interesting. It sounds... it's good. It's a good idea. It's like an all-in-one,
But
by the sounds of it, it's kind of there to help help the customer, help the tradesperson, help the suppliers. You're onto a win.
The original business plan, I think that was like the header on it was add value, and we want every person who comes into touch with that platform to receive value, so no one feels hard done by. And there is a way of doing that. I think there is an ethical way to do business. And I think too many people think,
look, everyone is in business to make money. That is a cold hard truth. There will be places where you're going to make money. You have to. It's a business,
Of course,
and nobody can knock you for that. But like you just said, there's an ethical amount of money to be made, and it's one of those things. To take a bit can actually add up a lot bigger. You know what I mean? Like, rather than being greedy and trying to pull in huge commissions, and you're mugging the tradesperson, you're mugging the customer,
volume.
Yeah.
So take a little bit,
Yeah,
and just help everyone out, and you can still build that empire.
100%.
Because that's that. If I'm honest, as you've heard from my story, I do things to extreme. So I'd be lying if I didn't say, look, I want to build a nice big business.
Of course you do. Who doesn't?
Impressive. Yeah.
Who doesn't? And it's a weird thing, mate. I think that's part of being British, Chris. Like, our culture,
like the guilt
we don't like talking about money. We don't like, if you go to other places, like I know, like America and that, they're very open about money. They talk about money, profits, all that. There's always that like taboo when it comes to the British, where you're a bit like
caught in your hand in the cookie jar.
It's a bit distasteful. You're like, I'm launching a business. I'd like it to do okay. Like, no, come on, man. I want to be driving a Ferrari. Let's just be honest.
Aston Martin for me.
No, there you go. There you go. Just keeping it British, yeah? Yeah, fair play,
patriotic
man. Chris, it's been a fucking pleasure, mate. Honestly, your story is inspiring. Massive thanks to you for sharing it and being so open and honest. I wish you all the best with the business. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on it, mate, because I'd love to see it absolutely fly. Before we wrap things up, is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you wanted to...
No, mate, no. It's been nice to get it off the chest. I never get to sort of unload like that.
Mate, a few people say the same thing. Well, so I'd love to have you back on, mate, in whether it's a year's time or whatever down the line, see where your business is at.
Yeah, mate, I'd go for that.
All being well, things are doing really well, and we can have a catch up and see what other madness you've been up to by the sounds of it, mate. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Before I do wrap things up, just let everybody know where they can find you on socials, and maybe have you got socials for the business yet?
Yeah, we've got www.graftar.co.uk. We've also got all the W's, gograf.uk. And we're working on the app. The app should be in the App Store within the next sort of 12 months, hopefully. There's still a lot of work to do. But come and find us, come and have a look. Traders, if you're looking to pick up work, reach out. As long as you're not a prick and you're not a cowboy, then we might be able to do some business with you. And if you're not a trader and you're looking for quality work done, then we'll look after you. Superb.
What about social handles, mate? You got on social channels? Instagram, Facebook, any of that kind of stuff?
I've got them, but I don't know the.
I'll link them below. Have a look in the episode description. I'll get Chris's details off. Go and give him a follow. Go and give the business a follow. They'll be in the description below this episode on whatever platform you're on, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, all of them. It'll be down there. So go and check out what Chris has got going on. And yeah, all good. Catch you soon on the next one.